Well, Colin Gunn here. Thank you for tuning in. This is hard doing a webinar like this. I can't see you, but I know some of you are there. Some of you are going to be listening in the or watching the live feed on our Facebook page, or rather on our website. And we have on our Facebook page, we're going to have some comments. So if you have some comments about what I'm saying or some of our guests are saying, then please put them on the Facebook page. Isaac Arthur is going to be on the Facebook page taking notes and sending me information. I can't keep track of it while I'm talking today. We have a fun show lined up. I wanted to do something live because I prefer to do it live. I prefer to be out there with our film at live events, talking to people. And so that's what we're doing right now is we're showing the film around the country. And the point is we wanted to bring in our supporters, those that have funded the movie and made it happen. And also, I know there'll be people in this webinar who are actually, participants. They either sponsored the film, helped make the film be made, monetarily, or also just in terms of participation as well, which is really excellent. So we have some people in the chat room, I think, in Facebook that will have acted in the film too, and the two guests are people that actually starred in the movie, interviewees, and you're going to enjoy talking to them. We're going to be doing a live interview with them later on in the show. I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I don't if there's people on the webinar that don't know who I am and wonder why they even showed up to listen to me. My name is Colin Gunn. I'm a Scottish guy who lives in Texas, just happens to live in Texas. I have 9 children. My wife Emily, we live here in Waco, Texas, and I've been a filmmaker for 11 years now. We started 11 years ago. I actually had my first film, Shaky Town here. This is the first film we made, Shaky Town, and I couldn't believe that it's over 10 years ago that we started this, and so this film, and we realized this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to make documentaries, and we've been doing it ever since. And the film Wait Till It's Free is our newest film, and I think it's our most important film in a sense. The last few films we've just sort of got better and better. I hope you can be the judge of that, but I think we're getting better at filmmaking, and I can talk a little bit about that, about what we're doing that's better in our films, as to what we had to learn as we went along. But we're making films that I think are the quality that we can compete on the national stage. And the thing about documentaries is I think that's where the battle is right now. So you've got punditry, you've got Fox News and radio and all the rest of it, and all that's good in a sense, but documentaries are a little bit more strategic, and that's true on the left and the right. So me over here on the right, or at least a Christian conservative and a very liberty-oriented person. We have over on the other side, we have Michael Moore, and our film is somewhat of a response to someone like Michael Moore, but the battle is going on in documentary films, because documentary films have an extended version of the arguments that you hear on the radio. The punditry doesn't get usually beyond just commentary and jibes and all the rest of it. Documentary film can get a little bit deeper. It's not as deep as a book or a thesis that you're going to read, but it's going to be good enough that you're going to be able to, learn a little bit by watching our documentary. But the other thing about documentaries, as you'll learn from watching it, is the principle that we have, which is to bring the experts and the eyewitnesses to testify to truthfulness. So when I go out and make a documentary, it's not just me with my opinions, although of course my presuppositions completely guide the content of the film, and my beliefs do guide the contents of the film. We go out and we find these people that are able to comment on these issues from their own experience, whether they're just someone who's has a story to tell, which is really important to have these great stories to tell for documentary filmmaking, but also the experts, those that know more about it than any of us, and usually most people know more about it than me, although I've had to learn a lot to find the right people to interview. Isaac's going to be on the Facebook page. We're going to have some prizes just for fun, and so I'll show you what we have. We have the amazing Wait Till It's Free mug. It's a left-handed mug, and you can see that it's actually the mug we used in the diner. So it's the same kind of mug. If you've seen the movie in the diner scene, this is the mug. So we've got the cool Wait Till It's Free design there. Josiah Jost did an excellent logo for us, and we've got that there. We're also going to be giving away, along with the mug, we'll give away a Wait Till It's Free film, and we'll give away a t-shirt as well. We'll get a really cool t-shirt, and there you go, cool t-shirt for you. And we have decals as well for your car. You can't really see it. It's going to look like a square of paper, but if I peel it off, you'll see what it is. It's a nice decal for your back of your 15-passenger van like mine. So to get one of these gifts, it's just for showing up. We're going to announce who gets them at the end. Just announce yourself on the Facebook page. Just say hi, and if you do that, we know you're there. And I see we've got about a good few viewers now coming in. Isaac's going to we'll only know who's in the Facebook page, so go say hi on Facebook before the end of the show, and Isaac will randomly find people to give these gifts to, and then he'll get your address and we'll send them out. I think you're going to enjoy those things. So there may be people in here. I know that there's certain guests that are coming soon, so we're going to hear from them in a minute. I wanted first, before we get to the guests, to talk a little bit, give you a little bit of an update about the project and what we have been doing with the project and where we're at right now. So we finished the film last year in September and released it in September. It was a huge chore, so this film took about 2 years at least. 3 if you include all the research and all the rest of it, 2 years to completion, and we got out in September. And what we've been doing since then is tours and media and getting reviews of the film. So we've had some excellent reviews. If you go to our Amazon website, you'll be able to write your own review if you've seen it. If you like the film, please leave us a review. We've got all 5 stars for all of our reviews, and it's been excellent so far. So we're going to be doing tours throughout the country. We did Wisconsin at the end of last year, which was really great, and then we're going to be doing Texas right now. So we have a couple of events in Texas coming up in February. We just had a couple, and we're going to be in Colorado and Washington State, and then California throughout the year. If you want us to come to be where you are, that's a possibility as well. One of the things, and it sort of ties into the theme of the movie, is that we don't like licenses. We think the license for films, we don't want people stealing our movie, sure, but in terms of inhibiting people showing the film, you don't need to write us and pay us to screen the movie. You just show the movie. It would be impossible to police anyway otherwise, but we're fine with that. A lot of filmmakers, you got to pay them, and some of the bigger filmmakers, you got to pay them a lot of money, even just to screen a film in your church. So we don't do that for the purpose of getting the message out there. The other thing that we're working on right now, and I'm working with a really cool guy, Dr. Phil Olson, and he has been working on the book with me. We're near completion. I'm holding it back because I'm the illiterate one, but we're waiting also for a strategic time to release that book. So that will be next on the list of things that we're going to be doing. So the book is a really good thing. When you make a documentary, you want people to be pointed back to different ideas and then given the fuller information, and you just can't say everything in a documentary. Documentaries you can dig a little bit deeper, but you can't give the full argument. I mean, most people are actually, I think, more changed by the emotional aspect of the film anyway, and don't care about the bigger debate, but we definitely draw people back. So the books have always been a good part of what we do, draw people back to a book that can give them much more information. So we're just finishing that off right now, and I think it's a really good book. I can say that, not bragging, because Dr. Phil Olson helped write. Well, he wrote most of it, and we had long meetings about what we were going to say and all the rest of it, and figured out exactly the content of the book. And so if you know the characters in the film and the stories we raise in the film, well, we expand upon each of those and give you extra information as well as footnotes and details, all the information that really will help you if this is your thing. And I think if you're in this webinar, it is your thing, and that's what we want to talk about right now, is that we want people to have ownership over this issue and say, this is mine. I just noticed Sherilyn is in. I want you to say hello to Sherilyn Amborski on our Facebook page, because she had a starring role as the waitress. So she was amazing as the waitress. So say hello to Sherilyn on the Facebook page. And but what we're trying to do is make people healthcare liberty evangelists, if that makes sense. So we've got pro-lifers, which is great, and we've got political activists. You know, people in your church will be suitable for some people, not others. But what we all have to be is we've got to make a defense of what we do in our lives and why as Christians do particular things. Part of it is we have to defend our Christian culture, but also there's so many people out there that are Christians but are floating about and they don't really know what to do, and so we do the research and we just tell them what to do. We did that with indoctrination. In indoctrination, we don't judge people, we just assume they don't know the truth, and a lot of the time is they don't know the truth. When we show our films, it's the most common thing is I had no idea, I never heard that before, that's all new to me, and that's the amazing aspect of this whole thing of documentary filmmaking. People are getting surface level information through the medium that they have, which is they're maybe listening to the Christian radio, or they're listening to their pastor who's not going to be dealing with these issues in the level to the level we can. And so that is what you need to do, is to be a healthcare evangelist and get the message out there. I'm going to tell you how you can do that. One of the other things I did want to mention, apart from the book, is we added another section to the movie. If you have the DVD, and this isn't on the DVD, so it's not a big deal because it's a tiny, tiny little section. But the download that we just released, and this is the purpose of the webinar, is we have added a tiny little section. This is the only real change in the film. We do plan down the line to change the film politically. So when Obama goes away, which we look forward to, but will be replaced by someone else, and that someone else could be Hillary, and then we get a whole different film in our hands to deal with that story. So that's a possibility down the line. But right now, the Gruber thing was such a gift to us ideologically. We knew, hey, we got to deal with this story. He said what we had been saying in our movie, but without his brilliant footage of him talking about the stupidity of the American people. So we were able to borrow that. We took out a little clip that was not really that important anyway and put in Gruber. So we've added that, and that's on the download version of the film. And it will eventually, when we get around to doing another run of DVDs, it make its way into the DVD version. So that's what we've been up to. But to the point of being a healthcare evangelist, we believe that there's a confusion over healthcare. You know, it's funny when you go to the UK and I try and talk about healthcare, and you remember in the film, there's a sort of irony there of people, and Dalrymple mentions that irony, that people think they've got the best healthcare in the world, but it's really actually the worst in the Western world. And British healthcare is not good. I have a news feed of about the NHS, and I get all of the problems that happen in the NHS constantly, and it's always these disastrous stories. It's not much fun to listen to, but I post them all to our Facebook page, and you'll see in our Facebook page, you'll see a list of those sorts of things that happen to people in the UK. So, you know, just doctors not doing a very good job, doctors not being able to do a very good job, understaffed, you know, hospitals that are burdened by the wrong kind of thing, because free, as we know from our film, is the very worst price for anything. When you have anything that's free, you end up with shortages and misallocation. So when something serious happens or you need the money, it's not there. So that's a big problem. So what we want you to do, and this is for you to be the health evangelist for healthcare liberty. There's several things that I think I would really love you to do. First one, of course, is watch the movie. You can get the DVD and you get the download. You can rent it, which is really cheap to rent the movie, and that will be an opportunity. If you have the SMI code, if you're an SMI member, you should know the code. If you don't, you can text me or get it through me, and that will get you a discount on the DVD. But you want to get that DVD, you can show it in the church, as we've said, and pass it around. The DVD, we're going to talk about digital distribution in a minute, but the DVD is one of the best ways to spread a message because it's durable and you can buy it and you can share it with everyone you know. You can't do that as easily with digital media, and we're going to talk about how digital media is changing everything in a minute. Hosting an event is the other one. Isaac's going to post a link to tell you how to host an event. There's, just things we'd recommend, not rules per se. You can do whatever you want, but there's ways to do it better. And if you want me there, that can be arranged as well. So I do a lot of hostings of screenings, and it's kind of fun because you can get more people out to meet the director. Not that that's a big deal, but they want to talk about the film and the issue, and if I'm there, we can really get into the details of it, and it's a lot of fun. It's fun for people to watch a movie and then come and talk to the person who made the movie. So I think people really enjoy those events. We've had some really great events recently. After that, I want you to consider also helping us with our digital distribution. Now, digital distribution has changed everything. DVDs, if you don't know, are going out the window, and that's a big culture change in the way that just things are happening. And I thought, I'm always a late adopter. I was the last person to buy a cell phone. I remember when Wi-Fi came out, I was like, who needs Wi-Fi? Why can't you just sit at your desk? What's the point of it? Of course, now I'm running around chasing Wi-Fi spots, and DVDs, as much as they're really good for filmmakers, I like the tangibility. I love the box, and I think it looks great. That's what I love, and we will always sell DVDs. Well, we'll see. The digital domain is the big thing. So a lot of people don't want DVDs at all now. A lot of people can't even play DVDs. They have a DVD player in their house, so they want the digital format. They want it because they want to play it on different devices. They want it on their phone when they're on the airplane traveling and all those things. So they want it on all these devices. They don't want it just on a DVD that can only give them one choice, one way to view it. They also like the safety of it, of always knowing that it's there when they want to view it. It will never get broken. They'll never lose it. So that's the beauty of digital media. We have to catch up. So as a filmmaker, it's sort of scary because digital media is cheaper. It's good in that we don't have to send DVDs out in the mail, although that's one of my favorite things to do. So what we're looking at is this new way of doing things. But there's really good news. What we've been able to do for our film is to have a new method of digital distribution, to use affiliates, so people that share information about our film through becoming an affiliate of the project. And it's very simple to do. You don't even get in touch with us to do that. We're working through a company called Yekra, and what Yekra does is it's simply like being an Amazon affiliate, if any of you have ever done that. And what it means is you get a little bit of money when someone buys through a link that you post. So it's as simple as that. If you've posted a YouTube video to Facebook, or if you've posted a link to an article on Facebook, well, that's all it really is. You just have to sign up at Yekra, and Isaac's going to post a link to that as well. And once you've done that, you can just start sending these messages. If you've got a message, a blog, or a message list or whatever, where you send out regular emails, then you just embed in that the player or a link to the film, and you'll get money. And we set it at the highest level, 20% of the sales, which will include the sales of the DVD that are bought through the player as well. That will come to you, and that's really nice for us. The way distribution has been for filmmakers, and I've heard a lot of bad stories from Christian filmmakers in this too, is that they lose a lot of money, and we have never had a distributor for that purpose. Is that it's usually a raw deal. Is that if they fail, and you get this story often with books, when you sign a publishing deal and you get a tiny fraction of the profit and it takes a long time to get it, well, it's not a good model. And also the other part is the distributor loses interest. If you're not a money maker and you don't make a lot of immediate sales, then they kind of ditch your product and you lose your product. It's not out there even, and it's not yours anymore. So what we do is we're retaining all of those rights and distributing ourselves. But Yekra has allowed us to do what we do with DVD sharing through this new medium, through digital downloads, and through our audience, the supporters that made the film happen. We want them to be the ones that go make the film seen as well. So that's what we're encouraging to do. The other aspect of Yekra is you can do sharing too, and you can what it means is you can buy the movie for yourself, and then you can buy it again for someone else at a reduced cost. So a rental, you can rent it for someone else at a reduced cost, which is pretty cool. So I think we're going to go to our first guest, and so we will. This might be a little bit more technically difficult, to do, we've not done this before, so we're going to try and get our first guest on. So if Isaac, if you can prompt our first guest to pop up and participate, then we will start talking to them any second now. Oh, I see him now. Ted Pettinger, how are you doing?
Oh, doing well. Thank you, Colin.
Great to hear your voice. I really appreciate you, Ted, and you've made our film happen. And not only that, you are a star of the film too. You appear in the film, and you're in the best section, the solution section, not the miserable, horrible, grumpy section where it's all Obamacare and blah. You're in the good section of the solutions, and really that's what Samaritan Ministries is. It's a solution to the problem. It's not the only solution. There's a lot of other things we need to do, no, but it is a solution. Ted, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about Samaritan Ministries and what you do.
Sure. Well, I've always been kind of an entrepreneur type guy since college. I've had several different businesses, some successful, some not so much, but I was a contractor for a number of years, and then I found out about a program similar to Samaritan Ministries, and I was a member myself. And so it wasn't a concept that I came up with, but it was a proven concept that I was a part of, and I thought, why couldn't it be done maybe a little better? So I took a good idea and tried to make it a little bit better. And we first investigated starting the ministry in 1991. We got started in 1994, so we've been doing this for 20 years and seen a lot of success, so it's been exciting.
That's fantastic. And if people don't know, full disclosure, I am a Samaritan member, and I was a Samaritan member before we even started making a film on this. So the fact that SMI is part of our film is a very natural thing, because it's the first thing people want to know. Well, what do you do? Why do you do things? And because we make these personal films, which are very much our story, the film ends, starts, and finishes on stories of our family and how we deal with things. And our film starts with problems, and we're going to talk about one of those problems with another guest in a minute, but what we see is those problems, and this is the design of the film, is you get the problems at the start, but they're resolved at the end, and they're resolved brilliantly with Samaritan Ministries. And as a member, I can vouch to the just value of that membership, that it's more than just the money aspect of healthcare. It is the rest of it that really is the Christian aspect of it. Hey, Ted, tell us about Samaritan Ministries. If people don't know what it is, what is it? I mean, what do you do? How is it different than insurance? What do people need to know about it?
Sure. It's funny, we realize that we often kind of start out with the negative of what we're not. We're not an insurance company. We're not, there's no guarantee. We don't have like a huge fund of money, but we're a group of Christians who have covenanted together to help one another according to biblical principles. And one of those biblical principles is Galatians 6:2, where it says, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. And I think it's a few verses later says that we should bear our own burdens. And it seems to be a dichotomy, but actually it's like we take care of the small burdens, but when we come up against a huge burden that we really can't bear on our own, we look to the body of Christ to help us. So it's an organized effort to help one another with medical expenses, and we do this without an insurance base. Right now we have over 42,000 families nationwide that are ready and willing to help each other with their medical bills, and we're helping with about over $11 million in medical bills every month. And the way we do this is members sharing one another's medical expenses for a fee that's way more affordable than insurance is.
That's absolutely true. One of the things that I love about it is I know that I'm paying for things that are genuine needs. When you're in insurance, the big negative, you're going to be paying for things that aren't, in my opinion, healthcare. The big separation between what we're talking about and what the world or the media talks about when it talks about healthcare, especially Obama and all the rest of them, we draw this bubble around, well, it's heart attacks and broken legs and things like that. They are not talking. They're saying healthcare. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about a whole bunch of other things like abortions and all these other weird things that they want and they think is healthcare. And there's also, the money machine as well of all these things that they want paid for by insurance. This method is amazing, and also it's going to a Christian feels really good to do that, knowing that there's someone in need out there. We tithe, we love that aspect that we're sending our money not off to some big executive with the jets and all the rest of it. I don't think you've got a jet yet, Ted. I know you.
No, no.
Not yet, not yet.
No.
Well, there's Ray maybe has a jet. So you gotta understand that's like the corporate control of healthcare. We posted about this today. Those companies, those insurance companies that were mandated you had to buy their product, all their stocks are going bananas right now, and they're doing so much money. Well, that's real people's money. It's people like me's money, my money, if I was in that circumstance. But I would so much prefer sending it to people, and we know their names, and we just love that. And we get checks too for our needs, and we've had babies born, and the checks come in, and it's Pastor so and so or Church of so and so, and it's fantastic. I mean, those members are amazing. Tell us about the growth of Samaritan Ministries, because one of the good things about Obamacare, if you can call it a good thing, was the exemption for cost sharers. In God's providence, an amazing thing and a great thing for Samaritan Ministries, because people are now very open to the idea. I hope our film helps a little bit in getting people to understand the importance of this. So tell us a little bit about how Samaritan Ministries is growing.
Sure. We from 1994 through 2007, we saw a pretty steady growth. It was 10, 15, 20% per year. And then when Romney Care passed in state of Massachusetts, up until that time we'd been kind of satisfied to fly under the radar, and we knew that we couldn't do that any longer. And so we started a public policy department, and then of course with Obama being elected, he wanted to do what Hillary Clinton couldn't do back in 1995, 96, and he actually succeeded, and we were able to get an exemption written into the bill, and that's just a miracle story in itself. We ought to have you make a film about that sometime.
I know. A sequel. I could make a sequel, and I think that would be part of the story. And yeah. I'm not a big political action guy. I think most of the narratives are moral and church-oriented and personal responsibility, but that's a great story where politically there was a huge win and protection for God's people effectively. So what is Samaritan Ministries? What do you expect? Where's this going to go in the future? What do you expect for 2015?
Well, over the past year, we've seen unprecedented growth. I asked the guys here that kind of keep their finger on the stats, and from June 2013 to June 2014, we grew almost 50%, and then this past we actually measure our months from the 15th of the month to the 15th of the following month, and so from December 15th through January 15th, we had 3,600 new families join. So it's been crazy. We expect it to kind of continue. Because of Obamacare, it'll always be a big growth spurt during the open enrollment, but we've just seen a continual growth over the course of the year. So, looking at this coming year, I would expect we'll probably be 40 or 50% increase again over the course of this next 12 months.
That's fantastic. I really love that. I love to hear the growth of Samaritan Ministries family. And Ted, I appreciate your time. I don't know if our other guest is there. He's meant to be sharing an office with you.
He is. If he have to change chairs,
do the high technical thing of swapping chairs, that would be excellent.
Yeah. So okay.
Ted, thanks a lot. Great talking to you as always. Here he is. It's Roger, the famous Roger from our movie, and people will recognize you as one of our great stories. And Roger, it wouldn't have been as great if it wasn't for you being the person telling that story. And one of the things we have shot, hundreds and hundreds of stories since we were, plodding along making these documentaries. And some of them, believe it or not, will show up and we'll film it and we'll throw it away. And it's hard to do it because you spend the day, as it's a bit of work, and we interrupted a good part of your day to interview you. Of course, you watch the film and it's this tiny segment, that's a little bit. But that's half a day of our work and our staff and all the rest of it. We'll do interviews, and it's nothing wrong with the people themselves, they just can't particularly tell stories, and sometimes it's my fault for maybe not getting that story out of them. I didn't have to do a lot of work with you, Roger, because you were able to do it. You had this story in your mind. You thought it through, which is the great part of it. People are so unthinking. They'll tell a story, but they won't have analysis of it, and that's what you're able to do. Roger, can you tell the people at home a little bit, if they haven't seen the film, about who you are and a little bit about your story?
Okay. Yeah, I grew up here in Central Illinois, and as a believer in Jesus Christ, the Lord ended up sending me overseas. I went to Papua New Guinea for 4 years. Came home, got married, got interested in aviation, learned to fly. Now, I'm not flying a jet for Ted, so don't worry. But at any rate, we ended up going back, my wife and I, and our 10-month-old baby at the time, went to Irian Jaya, Indonesia, and I flew an airplane there for a mission group for 17 years with the world team. And we came back from there. I fully expected to get involved in commercial aviation here in the States. I had a lot of experience, had an interview set up with American Airlines, and suddenly September 11th hit, and all hiring was canceled immediately. I got into a contracting business that my father was just retiring, a residential contractor building homes. And I thought, this is how life is going to be. It's going good. I was making money and happy in what I was doing. And then I started having some small seizures. I didn't even recognize them as seizures. To me, a seizure was a convulsion. What I was having at the time was just a funny taste in my mouth. Believe it or not, I would get the taste of cilantro, and I love to eat cilantro. But it would only last for about 30 seconds. And I mentioned this to my doctor. He says, "You're having seizures." And anyway, make a long story short, I was diagnosed with a leaky vein in my brain in the right temporal lobe, and ended up having, in December of 2012, had to have brain surgery. And so they went in, took care of this. But praise God, I had become a member of Samaritan Ministries a few years prior to that. And the rest is history, because
that's right.
it is taken care of very well here.
That's fantastic. And what I like about your story too is the reality of, and this is a scary thing. I mean, there's no way around this. That just for a Christian as well as everyone else, this is a very serious thing, very scary. And then you've on the burden of the financial aspect of it is the other side of it, but where you're not only scared for your life and you trust in the Lord, but it's still you're wondering about your family and all the rest of it. But then the financial aspect is the thing that messes everybody up, and is the scary part too for a lot of people. But to have that peace of mind with Samaritan Ministries. But the other part of the story, which is a part of the story that I really love, is that when you're a member of Samaritan Ministries, the way it works is you pay for your needs up front. You pay cash, and then the checks come to you later. What that does is it reinforces or eliminates the problem of the lack of price transparency that goes on in the medical sphere. And that's what you talk to in the film. We have this great little clip where you talk about getting the MRIs, where you go to one hospital and the MRIs are one price, and then you go down the road to the other hospital and they're a completely different price, and not even close by thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
but what you did was you're a negotiator, and you're a steward, and that's what SMI is for me, is that you become a steward. The problem is people want healthcare to be free, and if they don't want it to be free like in Europe, they want it to feel free like they do in America, where they want it to be third-party pay, and I don't care, is just whatever it costs. But what you're able to do, and what you were able to do, tell us a bit about that. You've got some negotiating skills as well, I think.
Well, I spent 21 years of my life in other nations. We're negotiating, bartering, bargaining all the time. You go to the marketplace, you never pay the opening price. So I was a bit used to that, my wife and I both. And yeah, I had to have several MRIs through this process. The first time I went to get an MRI, it was $1,800. And I said, "You got to be kidding." I said, "I'm going to pay you cash here today." I said, I don't have insurance, and so I'm going to pay you cash. And I said, "What can you do for me?" He said, "Well, they thought about it. They'll go down to the finance department and talk." We did, and I said, "Listen, here's cash on the barrelhead. I'm going to write you a check today. You can take it to the bank, get your money today. What can you do for me? And they knocked $500 off of an $1,800 bill. I ended up paying $1,300 that day for it. I had a second MRI several months later. The bill for that one was $5,222 for the exact same test. It was a brain MRI with contrast, and yeah, same exact test, and that much price difference. And I went in later and discussed this. Well, I should say that at the beginning they said, well, we'll give you a little bit of discount for cash payment. It was very little. By searching out the internet, I found out where their financial offices were located. I drove direct to that office. I got some strange looks when I walked in the door. Do you have an appointment? Why are you here? Who are you here to see? And I did have a name, a contact person there. And finally they agreed to let me talk with this lady. And I said, you know, I'm here to pay my bill. And I do want to leave here having paid my bill. But I explained the problem of the disparity in the prices that I'm seeing all over the board. I later found another place that was $1,100 right out of the gate. And all here just in the Peoria, Illinois area.
Right.
And so, yeah, there was no equity in this thing at all. And yeah, I pulled out some of my bargaining tools that day, and ended up paying just right around $1,400 for that $5,222 bill.
And part of it is that you know that you're representing other people when you're there negotiating. Yeah. I mean, I'm Scottish, so I like to haggle a little bit too. We haggle on other people's behalf. You know, that's what we give to our churches and we give to ministries. And it works the same for Samaritan ministries, that you give. It feels like you're giving, and you don't want people to be gouging you. So you want to make sure that you're not gouging them. And the whole issue with healthcare is the gouging. I mean, the lack of price knowledge, and the people that take advantage of that, the medical professionals on up to, the political influencers that, charge massive amounts for low quality service, which is a story of government after all. So, Roger, I want to thank you for participating in the movie. You did an amazing job. We really appreciate it. You really made our movie fantastic, and we have for people that haven't seen the film, we have Roger is one of those stories where you see him at the start and you hear the difficult time he had, but then you hear this great resolution at the end, and it worked so perfectly and was just such a fantastic story. So, Roger, thanks for coming on the show to talk to me tonight. It's
good being here tonight.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I will continue. What we're going to do is close the show in a minute. We want to thank everyone for staying on for so long, and we only have a few things left. The first thing I wanted to make sure, if there's any questions that can come, you can put them on the Facebook page. If not, I'll tell you one of the questions that I often get asked, and this is the one that really I think is very interesting for people to sort of know about filmmakers. When you go out as a filmmaker, you have an agenda. There's no doubt about that. You have presuppositions and ideas of the story you think you want to tell. So I think one of the best questions, if you meet a filmmaker, a documentary filmmaker, or someone who wrote a book or a thesis, the best question I always like to ask is what changed? What was your attitude before you did the research, and what was your big change of heart as you did the research and as you produced the book or film? For me, the big difference was my attitude towards medical professionals. I never had a particularly favorable view of the medical professionals, the doctors especially. I was very suspicious of them. That's sort of my nature. I'm not a big go to the doctor guy anyway. Never really ever enjoy going to the doctor, but I was always going to I don't know. I see these people as the part of a significant part of the problem, which many of them are. Doctors can be a big part of the problem, but the amazing thing, the big change was I realized that the doctors, and some of these doctors and what they were doing, was such a considerable part of the solution, that when you look at their film and you see the doctors, I saw them as victims. I see them as a very difficult job. We tend to picture them as very wealthy, and that's not true. In fact, many of them start work in a lot of debt, and go through a design program designed by the government largely. It's not to their benefit. It's really, really harmful often to them. Obviously, debt's harmful as well. And so they're punished in a sense, really even become a doctor. And sure, it should be hard to be a doctor, but I did see them as victims. The other aspect of that in our film is when we talk to a doctor who's leaving the profession. This is a common thing as well. And I realized they're a victim of all of the legislation. The patients are secondary victims a lot of the time, but the doctors are the primary victims because they have to comply, and it's very expensive for them to comply. So that was what we realized. So that was a big change when I started the movie, what I thought of the doctors, how that changed to the end of the film. And if you watch the film, you'll see that. You'll see exactly how the sympathy for the doctors, but also the doctors being part of that solution. Keith Smith's a good example in the film. And you got these guys who are doctors. Well, what do they need to know about economics and business and all the rest of it? Well, it's amazing when you get these people that are both of those. They understand the economics, but not just in the making money sense, in the big political perspective and the liberty aspect. So you get someone like Keith Smith is able to give that argument in our film, but is also amazingly also a medical doctor. Ron Paul's a bit like that too. So so that's the great story. Another question coming in: what does the film cover in regards to Obamacare? Well, Obamacare, we were careful in the film in that we didn't want to make a film just about Obamacare. Obamacare is a terrible, terrible idea, but it's doubling down on a lot of bad ideas that were there before it. And so if we focus on Obamacare too much, and we definitely do talk about Obamacare, we talk about Gruber, we talk about the bigger picture though, and we believe that Obamacare was a compromise. It was a crony capitalist compromise. I don't think Obama wanted it. A lot of the left didn't want it. But Obama wanted his big victory, healthcare victory, is the legacy. And so they passed Obamacare. I think it's seen by the left as a stepping stone to the next level. That next level is single payer, and we have quotes in the film where they'd explain that. So if we just went after Obamacare and just went after Obama personally, it's not worth it compared to the bigger picture. So we had all these problems. We had Medicare, Medicaid, and EMTALA, and HIPAA, and con laws, and all of those things. They're part of the story. So we do have a history section up to Obamacare, and then we address Obamacare. But the truth is we're going to jump over Obamacare eventually to single payer, and we're going to see more of that come down the line as an argument. So I think we address Obamacare really well, but we had to make it big picture, to step beyond it and show that the Obamacare is a terrible idea. It's a socialist idea, but it's worse than socialist in that you combine big business, the insurance companies, this pharmaceutical industry, and special interests with socialism. You get the worst case scenario, which is again why we have these very high prices in America, and we're seeing a damage of our service, the service that we used to enjoy. Okay, it's time for some prizes. I'm going to announce the prizes. Isaac will get your addresses privately. Don't post them on Facebook, but he'll get your addresses privately, and we'll send these gifts out to you. So our first winner of the DVD is Wait Till It's Free DVD. If you've seen it, don't worry, we'll send it anyway. You can give it to your grandma. As Melanie Gibson. So Melanie Gibson, thank you for coming to the webinar today. I hope you enjoy it. The next winner will be the mug. And the mug, this is the fancy left-handed mug, and that's going to Todd Smith. Todd, thank you for coming today. I appreciate it. And the next one, we're going to have the T-shirt, and we don't know what size you are. Well, I think we only have mediums left. We'll figure that out. The next one is Melissa Smith. So I wonder if you're related to Todd, but that would be nice. Got a T-shirt to match the mug. And the other ones, we're going to have a few more, and they're going to get the decals, and that will be Kelly Horsley, Paul Gregory Munger, I know him, and Kimberly Norton are all going to get decals. Thank you for coming, and thank you to everyone else that came out. We had a good showing in the webinar, a decent number of people, and you're the activists, you're the people that we love and depend upon get the message out there about our film, and that's all we do. It's all grassroots and all the rest of it. So all of you, thank you for coming to the webinar. I hope it was a good experience for you. I enjoyed it, although it's, you know, live is live. It's and thankfully things have gone very well. So I appreciate you all for showing up. I'm very thankful. I want to thank Isaac Arthur as well for hosting the Facebook discussion. Want to thank Samaritan Ministries, of course, as well, Ted Pettinger, Roger Stuber, and all of you for showing up. So thank you very much. Good night.